Hello, everybody. Welcome to the channel and let's go. So, apparently, Chelsea has triggered the release clause for Michael Olise, the Crystal Palace right winger. Though we all know he can also play as a 10. That's exciting news. But I think the way the release clause was sort of structured by Crystal Palace, suitors would have to go through IHLs would have to go through Crystal Palace, get their permission, and then before they're able to speak with Michael Olise. Fabrizio Romano in his on his YouTube channel sort of confirmed that Chelsea um, are, will be approaching or in contact rather with Crystal Palace and seeking permission to speak with Michael Olise, a review to agree in personal terms with him. So they're trying to avoid what happened last season. Because if you remember last season, Chelsea agreed personal terms with Michael Olise, but apparently didn't go through Crystal Palace, or at least what the channels Crystal Palace termed as proper channels, and that caused the deal to sort of collapse or fall through. So they're trying to avoid that. So for me, I think it's a good move. I think David Ornstein as well um, confirmed that Chelsea have made contact with Crystal Palace. I think this is a good move and would love to have Michael Lisa in the team. Some people say, where is he going to play? With Palmer on the pitch and having Madueke at right wing. For me, I think that's a good problem to have, and I also think the way he plays is slightly similar to um, Cole Palmer in that they could both float into the midfield. So sometimes I think you could see Madueke playing out on that right wing while you have Lise playing in the midfield alongside Cole Palmer, and then you have Christopher Nkunku on the right side. So for me, whether or even if he actually goes on to play right wing fully and then have Madueke as a substitute, that's a good problem to have, like I said. So no problems, no complaints from my end of things, and that's good news for me. Good news for me. I'd like to see Michael Lise come to Chelsea, and from a selfish point of view, I would like to see him decide to play for Nigeria, but that's neither here nor there. So, but good move, good move, good news so far, in my opinion. But now again, we come to Duran. The Aston Villa striker signed by that plays for that's signed from I think it's signed from the MLS or at least a league in the United States, and he played for Aston Villa. He was the second striker. He's the second striker, or you may want to be, if you're being a bit harsh, or you could describe him as the backup to Oli Watkins. Um, for me, he's 20-year-old youngster, um, good running, good pace, has a decent shot on him, but for me, it's just not what Chelsea needs at this time, or at this stage of this project, in my opinion, because this was meant to be, if I'm not mistaken, this was meant to be the last window in the four window sort of strategy or whatever you choose to call it. The last window before the team gets to actually compete. And then you're going to get a Duran that's got 5 goals last season. When you have strikers like Victor Osimhen, you have strikers like Isaac available, you have you goal creation available, and you don't trigger the clauses for these players. And as well, you also have Dominic Solanke. Don't forget him as well. He's available. His buyout clause is £65 million, and you don't trigger the buyout clause for these players. And you want to go for a Duran. He has talent. I'm not saying he's without talent, but he has talent. He's young. He can be an exciting player on this day, but hasn't done anything to prove that he's better than Nicholas Jackson, or he hasn't done anything to prove that he's miles above David Datro for finance. So for me, I don't see why you go to get him. If anything, if you really want to get a striker, for me, I think you get an experienced striker. So the likes of your Datro for finance, the likes of your Nicholas Jackson, the likes of your David Washingtons could learn from this experienced striker. Not just experienced striker by age, but experienced striker by mentality, by comportment, by how they carry themselves on the pitch, by how they play for the team, by how they play for the badge, that sort of thing. And for me, Victor Osimhen was just there, the ideal candidate. He plays with pace. He runs into either channel. He presses. You don't have to force him to press. These are the kind of players, and he scores goals as well. People say he scored 15 goals last season and are trying to hold it against him. But don't forget, he was at the African Cup of Nations. He played in 5 games, which means he possibly would have got to at least 20 goals for the season if he had played um, at least 20 games. He would have if he had played up to 30 games. I'm sorry, if he had played up to 30 games, he probably would have gone, or most likely would have got up to 20 goals for the season. So he would have been my number one choice. And then again, you don't get your number one, you don't always get what you want. If you have gotten a good career, you can say, okay, I see why they're getting him. If you've gotten and Isaac, you can say, okay, he's got a Premier experience. He's scored goals in the Premier League. He's been really, really impressive for Newcastle. You can say, okay, yeah, that's another one. You can see why you go for him. But going for Duran, for me, is just a letdown. Is basically underwhelming. See, if he signs for Chelsea tomorrow and the season starts tomorrow, I'll support him. I want him to do well. I'll never ever want my club to fail because they signed someone I don't rate, or at least no one people don't actually rate him at this point in time. And some people are going on about, oh, he takes good he hits the ball well, as opposed to doing what? A professional player being able to strike the ball, is that meant to be some special quality that a player has? For me, I just think nah. But like I said, if he is signed today, he's announced by Fabrizio Romano, the club puts on an official statement to say Jean Duran has agreed personal terms with Chelsea, and Aston Villa has agreed terms with Chelsea for a transfer of Jean Duran to Chelsea Football Club. I'll support him. I want to do well, because if he does well, Chelsea does well. But for me, mm, rating him right now, a scale of 1 to 10, it would be maybe a 2 if I'm being really, really generous. Tom Solanke would have been like, okay, we are all out for options. Dominic Solanke would have been the next person that you go for. So those are my thoughts on these issues. I'd like to know what you think about the players yourself been linked to. What you think about Jean Duran? Are there other names you would like just to go for instead of John Duran? Or what do you think about the move of Michael Olise to Chelsea? Possible move of Michael Olise to Chelsea. Do you think he will fit in right away? Do you think he'll be a selection headache for Enzo Maresca? So let me know your thoughts and opinions. So thanks for watching. I'll see you again.